Yes, people, what's happening? Welcome back to Chelsea Fan TV and welcome to another episode of the Chelsea Fan TV podcast. First things first, guys, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below about any of the topics we've discussed today. And Chelsea had back-to-back 0-0 draws against Liverpool and Fulham, but are unbeaten in our last 3 games, which is not much to shout about. But when you've been as bad as we have this season, you've got to take those small wins. Obviously, West Ham this weekend coming up, which is going to be tough. We'll get into that a little bit later on. But Lewis, are there some small positives to take, mate? The fact we're now 3 games unbeaten, and we stayed 9th in the table because Liverpool lost and Aston Villa lost as well.
You could say 3 clean sheets.
Yeah.
We're starting to get better defensively. Although, to be honest, we've been better defensively than I've given us credit for. We've got 1 less clean sheet than Arsenal, and they're top of the table. That's about it, really. Moved up to 9th. Don't know what that means. Maybe a bit more TV money at the end of the season. Other than that, it's the same old crap, really. But yeah, new signings look good. We're keeping clean sheets. Small progress, very small progress.
I guess, and players returning from injury as well. Players returning from injury as well, I guess, is going to be a plus as well for Fana back in training this week. Reece James and Chilwell got minutes against Fulham, as did Raheem Sterling as well. Even though he's in poor, it's still another body that's fit again. Let's take it back to Fulham on Friday night. What did you make of Enzo Fernandez? Obviously, kind of chucked straight in for his debut, playing in that 6 role. Not his ideal position, but must know Jorginho, and with other injuries to Kovacic and Kante still not fit, he kind of had to play there. We were both there. I thought he was impressive. I thought he looked good. You could tell the quality that he possesses, his passing, the way he gets stuck in. I thought it was really promising considering he's had 1 training session and didn't really know if he was going to be a Chelsea player or not right up until an hour before the deadline.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good debut. I could have expected a lot worse with what we surrounded him with, but he did well, dictated play, had good tackles, showed physicality, didn't really do too much wrong. Yeah, he got bypassed like 1 or 2 separate times, but Mount and Gallagher just had their heads down, were running forwards, left him with no defensive support. I think he did the best that you could have asked for him. We'll say, I don't know why we sold Jorginho when this is all of our other options. I think we would have had a better performance, but it's whatever. You couldn't have asked for much different from Enzo. I thought he played really well.
Yeah, I think any possibility that we can get him higher up the pitch is going to be a massive plus. I mean, obviously, I don't know if he's going to be able to play any higher up this weekend. I'm not sure if Cover's back. I mean, Cover wouldn't play in the 6 anyway. Maybe if Zakaria can get back, then maybe he might play in that deeper position and we can have Enzo a little bit further forward, but it looks like he'll probably be deployed in that 6th position again as well. But there was quite a few debutants on Friday night. We saw Madueke come on at half-time. Mudryk, obviously, he had a poor first half. He didn't get in the game at all. Not entirely his fault, but obviously transpired afterwards that he was suffering with a heavy cold all week and he was only going to play 60 minutes, but he could only manage 45, feeling pretty heavily. But we saw Madueke for the first time. What did you make of him, mate? I thought he looks okay. You could tell that he's an exciting player. There's ability. He's direct. He's pacey. He takes people on. Yes, he gave the ball away a few times and he still looks pretty raw, but I think there's some promise there.
He was our best winger that game, personally. Came on, looked very confident, very strong as well. Didn't expect him to be that good physically, but he handled himself against the fullbacks. Couldn't ask much better from him too. I thought he did really good, was beating players, was trying to find the ball into the right spaces. I thought did brilliantly. I would start him against West Ham just based off that performance because Sterling wasn't great off the bench. Mudryk was not great, but I think that was his first start since November. So I'll put that one down to getting back to match sharpness, and it is what it is. Yeah, and Ziyech was absolutely terrible. I'd start Madueke. I thought he had a great debut.
Yeah, no, he did do really well. I mean, just on the Fulham performance in general, obviously, it's another goalless draw. That's 2 on the spin now. What did you make of the performance overall? Because we created a couple of opportunities, but as usual, with our finishing, it let us down. What did you make of it overall? Defensively solid, but in fairness, Fulham coming, they were pretty good. They were hard to break down.
Yeah, but that was because of our midfield.
Hmm.
I took one look at that lineup and I thought it is going to be a long game. It's going to be a very, very long game. Did well to at least draw, but we struggled. I don't really hold that to blame for any of the new signings or the defense. Actually, tell a lie. Cucurella wasn't great. Reece James should not have started. I don't know why we changed the back four. But at the very least, we kept a clean sheet. That's where we are at this point, I guess.
Yeah, what have you made of the Thiago Silva and Badia Shield partnership? Obviously, Badia Shield came into the team for Koulibaly, who's not been doing well at all in recent weeks, and Badia Shield's come in. We saw his debut against Crystal Palace. He was a little bit shaky opening minutes, but then he settled into the game nicely. And then from there on in at Anfield, he was fantastic. And then again against Fulham, he was very good as well. Are you surprised at how quickly he settled into things? Because him and Silva at the moment, it's got the makings of a really good partnership.
Yeah, I didn't expect him to be this good. I thought he was just going to be depth for us, honestly. He's come in, instantly secured the top position. That's his. Like him and Thiago Silva, that is our back two. And well, maybe not for the Champions League for obvious reasons, but he's come in, he's shown composure. His positional awareness is good. Very hard to beat in the air. So hard aerially, to be honest. It's been so good. And that's been the breath of fresh air that we've needed because we haven't had that. We haven't had that sort of security at the back. We needed that of Koulibaly, but we weren't getting it. And it's good to see us getting that with Badia Shield now. And I think that gives us a good base to try and build off.
I mean, we got Fofana coming back from injury as well. I'm not sure if Chelsea or Graham Potter expected Badia Shield to do this well this quickly, but there's a bit of a selection headache now in a centre-back position, isn't there? Because we know Thiago Silva is going to play pretty much every week if he's fit. Koulibaly's not in favour at the moment. Chalobah is not really in favour, certainly not a centre-back. He's been playing a bit of right-back recently. And then we've got a big money signing Wesley Fofana to come back into the mix. I mean, how do you see this all kind of playing out? Because Fofana's going to rightly think, that he was signed to start, and right now it's going to be tough for him to displace Badia Shield.
Just got to wait for the right opportunity. This is where cup games would be good for us, but we had to draw City away twice, so you got to shrug your shoulders to that one. Yeah, it's going to be a bit hard in terms of rotation and everything. I think up front and in the midfield, I think there's a bit more of a level fight. Right now, the back two stays the same until anything happens to make you think otherwise, because we play one game a week. The defense shouldn't be changing too often anyway. You need to have a select back four. So Fofana will be the number 3. Think that, or maybe even the number 4 with Chalobah, because Chalobah's been brilliant in his absence. Yeah, I don't know. I think the bigger question isn't even Fofana. You're looking at Koulibaly. That guy's number 5. And he's went from like number 2 to number 5 just like that. He has been completely dispensable now.
I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, though, isn't it? Because obviously Koulibaly's not played for a few weeks, and then you would imagine he's probably going to be chucked back in against Dortmund. I mean, obviously we'll probably cover that in a episode nearer the time. But I mean, do you think he'll be chucked straight back in? I can't imagine Fofana's first game back will be Champions League away at Dortmund. So it's really a choice between Koulibaly and Chalobah for that position. And with Koulibaly having not played very much, it'll be a big ask to chuck him straight back in, wouldn't it? I guess we just have to see what happens.
I'd play Chalobah personally. I think he's been a lot more composed for us this season. I would get if he did it for experience, but like I've tried to have a lot of patience with Koulibaly, but the growth I've seen from Badia Shield and Chalobah combined means I don't really need to either. We have other options, and we have other options that I think I can rely on a lot more than I would with Koulibaly. So, personally, I'd start Chalobah.
I mean, it's easy to look back at it now, but is there any part of you that feels that perhaps, maybe we should have registered Badia Shield for the Champions League squad? But then I suppose on the flip side, how can you leave? I mean, you couldn't leave João Felix out of the squad, really, could you? I mean, he was the obvious choice in terms of who would have been the one to make way. I mean, do you think there's any case
that happened?
No, you don't think there's any case that can be made to leave Felix out for Badia Shield?
No. And if anything, we're trying to attract Felix to keep him here afterwards. I think that's just a slap in the face. So, it's a shame for Badia Shield, but it's just the way the situation's gone. Enzo Mudryk, Felix, because we can play other defenders there. We have 4 options that we can use. We don't really need a 5th. When it comes to the attack, they all suck. We need as many attackers as possible. In midfield, same energy.
I mean, just on the Champions League score, because we had a chance to cover it. What did you make of the fact that Aubameyang was removed from the squad? We know, obviously, he's not been in form for Chelsea this season. Hasn't scored since October. He's been out of the side. Hasn't started for a while. He's come off the bench a few times. Not done an awful lot. Admittedly, not all his fault because there's not a lot of service to him. But other than, if he's not scoring goals, he's not offering anything. But we knew that before we signed him. So, I mean, I look at it and I think, all right, it wasn't a Graham Potter signing. It was a stopgap signing. He's not part of the plans for the future. I don't think it's like a disastrous thing to do. And people say, we've got no out and out 9 in the Champions League squad. But, I think we've got players in there that can do something. Last time we won the Champions League, we didn't really have a proper number 9 either. But I can understand it being a little bit harsh on Aubameyang. But ultimately, you've got to make ruthless decisions at a big football club like Chelsea. And I guess it's just unfortunate. If he's not part of the future plans, he's not good enough in his current state to actually make a meaningful contribution towards a Champions League campaign, in my opinion. So
I don't know. It's part of the reason why we're even there in the first place. Both goals against AC Milan and all of that.
Do you think it's harsh that he's been left out?
Unless anything happened behind the scenes, yeah. Because we can't put Fofana in. No. So who's our option up top? Kai Havertz. Yes.
I guess I'm Felix, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'd rather Felix off Oba personally. So it's like I don't get it. If there was nobody else we could have taken out, fairs. But I feel like it didn't have to be him. Apparently, Charlie Webster got put into the Champions League.
I think it's because it's homegrown players, isn't it? Or he's on the B list or something like that, and you can have like an unlimited amount on the B list or something.
Maybe there was no one else you could have picked, and if that's the case, fairs. But if there was other players, I think we could have done with a number 9 in the Champions League. I have no faith in Havertz in that position.
No, I don't either.
Felix is whatever. Brozia's injured, and we can't put Fofana. So I don't know.
Yeah, we could be a little bit short. I mean, just on Aubameyang, do you think we'll see him play for Chelsea again? In terms of, because obviously the MLS transfer window is still open. There was recent links to a move to the MLS. Transfer window in Turkey is still open as well. I'm not sure if he can play for 3 clubs in one season in terms of in Europe. He's already played for Barca and Chelsea. I don't know what the rules are on that. Do you think you could see him being sold to the MLS at some point in the future, or do you think we will see him play for Chelsea again? Yeah.
Everyone acts like he's washed. This guy won Player of the Season for Barca and took them from 9th to 2nd. I think Oba, there's still a great player in there. He's a victim of the system. He ain't going to the MLS. He can do a lot better. He's going to wait here till the end of the season. I say we utilize him while we still can, because we just watched Havertz against Fulham. The guy sucks. He's terrible. You might as well put Oba in there or bring him off on the bench as another option.
Do you think he will play for Chelsea again? Do you think there's a way back in terms of him featuring again this season? I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know if he'll start another game, but it would be strange if he didn't feature at all from the bench or something.
I'd like to see him start, but with the way it's been treated this season, I don't think he will. I don't think he started since we've come back. So I don't know. The one time we could have played him against City, he didn't even make the bench. I don't think he'll start personally, but in that case, just play for Fofana.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I mean, moving away from the football, Chelsea yesterday, I think it was, appointed a mentality coach. I think it's on a short-term basis, someone that used to work with the New Zealand rugby team. I think a good appointment in terms for Chelsea. We've had managers like Sarri, Jose, Tuchel, Lampard, all question the mentality of this group of players. But it's drawn quite a mixed reaction on Twitter. Obviously not the best place to always go for your reactions, but it's kind of split a lot of people. Some people saying, oh, surely that's the job of the manager. Others thinking it's a good appointment. I mean, I look at it and I think it can only be a good thing in terms of someone that's worked at the top level with mindset kind of stuff. And we obviously need that help with our mentality within the group. So I look at it as definitely as a plus, but a lot of people don't really view it in a positive light. I mean, what are your thoughts on it?
I'm in two minds personally. What's your thoughts? What are you thinking about it?
I think I don't think it's a bad thing. Like I think we've struggled with mentality over the years. I think there's a mentality issue, maybe not as big at the moment, but there is a mentality issue in this squad when things get tough. People seem to down tools. Hopefully we're starting to.
That's the thing. Because people always act like it's individual players and stuff. It's like I get that. Some individuals they do hold that.
Yeah,
But it's as a team, and that's why I think the problem's like cultural. Because you can
it
say
is. Yeah,
individuals they have good mentality, like a Hazard, like a Kante, that's great. But as a squad, we always seem to be complacent. Always seem to be way too complacent. That's why I'm
but
happy with this new coach that's coming in. Everyone's getting at Potter for that. It's like, no, this guy should have been here years ago. Because the likes of Jose, mentality monsters, Tuchel, mentality monsters, even they said there was mentality issues in the squad.
yeah, and I think and to be honest, it's actually quite a common thing. I think Jose had one at United. I mean, other clubs, other top clubs have employed these kind of people, and there's obviously a reason for it, and kind of hopefully it works. But I don't see that the hate that's needed about it because all right, people saying, oh yeah, the manager should be able to motivate the players, work on their
It's another
mindset and
stick to
stuff.
beat Potter with.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
simple
it
as you
is.
can twist anything into any
Yeah.
way that you want it to look like.
No, I agree. I think this is a good thing. I mean, I don't know how long it will take for us to see the benefits of it, if there are to be any benefits. But I mean, it's definitely something that's worth a go, and I'm kind of glad that it is being explored. Let's throw it forward to West Ham, London derby this weekend. Early kickoff on Saturday, 12:30. It's never a good thing, the early kickoffs when Chelsea are involved. We haven't got a great record against West Ham either. So we lost at London Stadium last season. I think we lost 3-2. A couple of howlers from Mendy in goal. Obviously, he won't be playing this time, but it's not a happy hunting ground for us. I mean, first things first, why do you think we've got such a poor record there?
I don't know because we played some terrible West Ham sides, like the one we're going to face as well. We just don't do well there. We've won there like twice, I think, in our entire since they moved in there. And yeah, I don't get it. It's like a bogey ground for us. They always have a good atmosphere. We always seem to have some sort of howlers. I don't know. With it being an early kickoff as well, I'm not confident for this one. I am not confident at all.
No, it's going to be tough. I mean, obviously, West Ham are down the bottom end of the table. I think they're a couple points outside of the relegation places. They are actually unbeaten in their last 5 games. They've got a decent point up at Newcastle last time out, which is more than we managed when we went there before the World Cup. With games like this and like a London derby and stuff, do you think it actually matters the positions in the table? It's kind of just who's up for it on the day, sort of thing.
Yes, because I could say no, but the amount of times where we've been in so much better positions than West Ham, and they've come and they've got a result against us. We kick-started their relegation fight in 2020. They took us out of the title race in 17-18. Last season, when we were talking about being champions and everything, took us straight back down to reality. I don't like going there, bro. Plus, it's long coming out of Stratford. You got the long ass walk down the park. The stewards are absolute dickheads. The fans are dickheads. The club is can't be bothered. I want us to win there. I really do, but I don't see it.
It's gonna be tough. It is gonna be tough. But in terms of the sort of the lineup and the team, you've been very vocal about it, myself as well, and plenty of other Chelsea fans. It's obvious that Mason Mount and Kai Havertz absolutely cannot start, and they should be dropped to the bench. And there are other options that we can use now. How important is it that Potter kind of draws a line with this and actually kind of makes it known that you can't get away with performing poorly week in, week out for the longest time possible? There are the options there now. João Felix is back. We can go 4-2-3-1. We can play Enzo and cover if he's fit in a pivot. We can play Enzo and someone else in the pivot. So how important is it for you that Potter kind of gets some bollocks with this and benches both Havertz and Mounts? Because if he doesn't, then for me, I've been a staunch backer of him. I will think like, actually, do you know what are you doing in this instinct? You've got to make the big decisions and drop these players, because now players are coming back from injury, and with the signings we've made, there are other options, which means we can bench these guys.
Yeah, I think it's important for us for the result, but also important in terms of my faith. Because I'm going to lose a lot of faith if I see the same players starting. Mount, Havertz, Gallagher, Ziyech, not good enough. Ziyech, I understood you starting him based on his form in the last 2 games, but Madueke deserves to start now based off that last 45 minutes. Mount can come out the lineup. You can put Hall in there. You can put Chukwuemeka in there. Or if any of the other midfielders are back fit, you can put them in there instead. Fine, I don't care. But Mount needs to be dropped. His performances have been absolutely pathetic this season, personally. And yeah, starting him is only just going to tell him that his position's safe regardless of how he plays. Same energy to Kai Havertz. Terrible football player. Doesn't bring anything to the team. You can drop him for Fofana. You can drop him for Oba. You can drop him for Felix. Whatever. Same with Gallagher. There's 3 players that can go in out to replace all 3 of them. So I need to see Potter do that for me personally.
Yeah, I think now is a time where, like, for a while now, the team's almost picked itself, and there's not really been that many options, and like, you know, he's had to pick those through a necessity. Now the options are here. Players are coming back from injury, new signings. He's now got to step up and make those big calls. Well, that's what he's paid to do. You've got to make the big calls, and for the better of the team, those players need to be dropped. In terms of kind of a lineup and a system, etc., for West Ham, I mean, for me personally, if we're talking the front line, I mean, I'd like to see a 4-2-3-1 with Madueke on the right, Felix playing 10 with Mudryk left and Datro Fofana up top. I think it's young, it's exciting, it's pacey.
Completely agree. That's perfect.
It's pacey, it's exciting. Yes, it's raw, but it's players that want to be here. It's players that want to play for the club. They've got that desire. They want to impress. And you know, it's pace, it's directness, things that we've lacked for so long: pace, directness, and creativity in attack. These guys all deserve a shot. I mean, Felix is going to play anyway, but the likes of Madueke, Mudryk, and Fofana. I thought Fofana he missed a pretty good chance against Fulham, but it was a promising cameo considering he only played the second half of that City game where we got battered in the cup and then hasn't been seen since. I thought there was some promise there. That's got to be the front line, young and hungry. I mean, you agree?
Completely agree. On Fofana, he made more take-ons in that game than Havertz has done in his last 5 league matches. But look who's the one who gets some more starts. Fofana has to go in. If you've got no faith or no trust in Aubameyang, give Fofana your trust for a full 90 minutes and let's see what he's capable of. I'm just tired of seeing Havertz up top. It's not good enough. Yeah. We waste way too many chances. Brother stinks. Somebody else, please.
Yeah, I mean, as well, mate. We've only scored 3 goals in our last 7 matches, which is I saw that stat today. It's not great, but it's not surprising at all either. And hopefully, like, if we mix it up, I mean, look, on João Felix, how big a plus do you think it is that he's returning? Obviously, we saw 60 minutes of him at Craven Cottage. He looks really good. He had a number of opportunities. You could tell the quality that he possesses, and it was a class above anything we've seen in a blue shirt this season. Do you think his return's going to be a big plus, much needed for us?
Massive. We just have to go into that first touch he had against Fulham. I haven't seen someone beat a player like that and make a chance in years, literal years. So, Felix, welcome back. No stupid reds this time because no one says it. That was a dumb red card from him. Just play ball because we need all the creativity that we can get. We are malnourished. So yeah, Felix goes straight in. Mudryk as well. I want to see him get a full 90.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I'm excited to see him again. So in terms of the midfield, then obviously Enzo Fernandez is going to play. We touched on him earlier. If we get the front four that we want, who would you partner Enzo with in the pivot? Because I think Zakaria still out. Obviously, Kante missing. No Jorginho. Cover's touch and go. We're a little bit short, aren't we? I mean, would you play Lewis Hall or maybe Ruben?
Is Ruben fit? Oh yeah, Ruben just couldn't play a full 90.
Yeah, I mean, Lewis Hall weren't in the squad for Fulham, so I don't know what happened to him. But I mean, let's presume he's fit.
Yeah.
Would you go Hall or Ruben?
Makeshift. Yeah, that's makeshift enough. I feel like Ruben could be the one that drives forward. You could have Enzo be the sitter again.
Do you think that works better? And like, would you rather see it? Because Lewis Hall at
yeah.
I mean, Lewis Hall at Anfield, we were there. He had a poor game at Anfield. If we're being honest,
that's why I'm not too sure. If anything, you could put him on the left personally after that Cucurella disaster class. So yeah, Ruben could work. If Ruben doesn't turn into like just another road runner and runs around too much. If he keeps his head up a bit more, maybe that could work. But we know what he can bring. He can be a very good dribbler, very good at driving spaces because of his physicality and his power, but it's his decision making. So if he can tick the right boxes in that game, I think that would be a good enough pivot to get a result.
For sure. And obviously, Reece James will start at right back. Centre backs will be the same. Left back's interesting. I mean, Cucurella didn't have the best of games against Fulham, but we saw Ben Chilwell come back. First minutes for a long while now since that Zagreb game where he got injured, quite a long layoff. I wouldn't expect him to start, just given the fact he only had about 10, 15 minutes against Fulham, if that. I don't think he's ready to start a game. Yes, another week's training will obviously help him, but do you think it would be a risk to start Chilwell in this game?
Well, you brought him off. You brought him on for the last 20, 30, which I think was the right move. Maybe. Like, I wouldn't be against it if he did it. Reece James, he didn't start well, but that's because he started. He should have been off the bench, but now he's got a bit more sharpness in his game. Throw him into West Ham and see if he can have a bit more of a composed game. Yeah, if he wants to go Reece and Chilwell on the wings, I've got nothing against that. I think both have been bedded in well enough now.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, in terms of West Ham, quickly, obviously they've got some threatening players. The likes of Jared Bowen, Lucas Paqueta is a decent midfield player. Obviously, Declan Rice. There are some injuries there. No Skamaka, no Maxwell Cornet either. It looks like Mikel Antonio will probably lead the line for them. Are you going to be keeping half an eye on Declan Rice on Saturday afternoon? Obviously Chelsea heavily linked with him. You'll be looking at kind of what he's doing. This could almost be, not that he needs an audition because we all know what he can do and he'd be a big plus to Chelsea despite what some people think. Do you think he'll be more eager to impress because Chelsea are coming to town?
Yeah, I do think so, to be fair. I think it'd be one of the games he'd be switched on for. Be interesting to see because I'm not sure we're gonna put in a perfect midfield or something. So I expect him to be running the entire midfield. But we'll see. We'll see. I've seen good games from him. I know what he can bring to the table. I know what he can't bring to the table. But it'll be interesting to see how he performs against us. I do think he'll be switched on for it, though.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, mate, obviously we lost 3-2 last season. We haven't scored in our last 2 games. It is 3 clean sheets, though. I mean, score prediction to round out. What we thinking? Early kickoff's always tricky. London Stadium, not a great record. João Felix is back. Players are coming back from injury. Mate, are we going to get a win?
I'm not going to say what I really think because I want to be positive. So 1-0 Chelsea. 1-0 Chelsea will do the same old Havertz stat pad penalty. And,
you think Havertz is going to be penalty taker now that Jorginho?
Actually, no. This brother ain't starting if I get what I want.
Yeah.
Right? It's a Felix penalty.
Fair. Yeah, I've got to be honest with you. I think this is going to be really tough. I mean, we should be beating West Ham, but early kickoff, our record at West Ham's not great.
I mean, my real result is 1-0 West Ham, by the way.
I mean, do you know what? I don't think I could see us losing, but I'm going to go for a 1-1, which is not really good enough. But I don't know. I just don't have the confidence in the team that we're gonna register a win at the moment.
And that's totally fine because we've been absolutely arsed this season. I hear you. That's why I'm just saying 1-0 win because I want to sound positive.
Yeah,
I don't see that.
But mate, even if we just score a goal, this is where we're at right now. We can get a goal. Fantastic,
Yeah, if we don't score, it's 3 games without a goal. Jeez, yeah, you know what? Yeah, someone needs to score.
Let's just get a goal. But yeah, seems like a good point to round out. Guys, as I said at the beginning, make sure you smash the likes on the video, subscribe to Chelsea Fan TV if you haven't done so already, and leave your thoughts in the comments below. And hopefully we will register a win against West Ham and we'll also find the back of the net. But yeah, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Take care and catch you again soon.